pleasure to introduce our speaker for today's session, Dr. Hanumantachar Joshi sir. He completed his doctorate from Division of Pharmaceutical Sciences, Guru Jambeshwar University of Science and Technology, Hisar, Haryana. He has more than 20 years of experience in teaching and research. His research interests are neurosciences, behavioral psychopharmacology, herbal psychotropics, etc. Currently, sir is working as principal and professor at Sarda Vilas College of Pharmacy, Mysuru, Karnataka. He has published 219 research and review papers in scientific journals and presented papers at various national and international conferences. He is recognized as most valuable reviewer by Lancet, British Journal of Pharmacology, Neuroscience Journal, and many elsewhere journals. He is an editorial board member of 11 international and national journals. He has filed 4 international patents and 2 Indian patents, and has been granted 1 German patent for herbal preparation for management of dementia in his credit. He has been awarded with numerous prestigious awards such as Sanshodhan Dikshit Award, Young Scientist Award, Travel Grant Fellowship Award from National Institute of Health, National Institute of Aging, Alzheimer Association, USA. Mother Teresa Award, Best Principal Award 2020 from Indian Institute of Scholars, and the list goes on. Recently, sir has been awarded with prestigious Adarsh Pratibha Ratna Award by Adarsh Seva Sangha, Mysuru. He has received various research grants from ICMR, VGST, RGUHS. He is a member of various professional organizations such as KUHS, RGUHS, Ayush, etc. He is a president of Alzheimer's and Disorders Society of India, Mysuru chapter. He is also a president of People's Association to Geriatric Empowerment, Mysuru. He is a secretary of APSE, which is a global organization of research scientists. And he is a regularly invited speaker at various national and international conferences on Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. He was visited around 37 foreign countries and delivered the plenary talks on management of Alzheimer's disease. We are blessed to have such a great personality with us. With his brief introduction, I would like to request Dr. Joshi sir to enlighten us with his knowledge and begin the session. Thank you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, good afternoon to everyone, and thanks to my very good friend, Dr. Dayanand Kannur, a dynamic person in the field of pharmaceutical sciences, for the kind invitation. And thanks to Anaga Joshi madam also, because talking to our friends from Maharashtra is always a pleasure. It feels, it's some kind of, very good proximal feeling here. And yeah, I'm very sure all our teachers here, it's an FDP, I think, and I'll be given a task of talking on a topic which will definitely, have some kind of impact on people, and hopefully people will receive it in a very, very positive and spirited way. Can I share my screen, madam? Yes.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
You can.
Hope my slide is visible.
Yes, sir.
I'll be speaking for the next 30 to 40 minutes about a few important issues which we're already aware, because I'm not telling anything completely new to you, because as teachers you have been dedicating your life, dedicating your career, right, for the sake of the profession. But despite of that, something is missing from our pharmaceutical fraternity, which we'll try to understand one by one. And many a times we are always confused with law and ethics, because we always feel that the ethics is completely law. But let us take a small difference. The definition says law is defined as the rules of human conduct binding all persons in a state or a nation. It is for a state or a nation, and we are connected to that. And all people have to follow the rules and regulations of the country. And what is ethics? It is defined as the rules by which a profession regulates. Please understand it, right? See, the law is, a completely overall picture of, the entire country, whereas ethics, it is for a profession which regulates the actions and sets standards for all the members. So every profession has got its own standards. And unfortunately, where we are, we'll understand in next slides. And when you compare it, because, there is always, a small confusion, what does law defines and what does ethics, part there. Law is everywhere. For example, we have got our own laws, isn't it? For example, when we study forensic pharmacy or pharmaceutical jurisprudence, we read it, we mug it up, we write in the examination, we pass the examination, and some will be remaining in the mind and some will be forgotten. That is very quite natural. But when it comes to ethics, this is something, it's an inner thing, right? Which all people have to develop, which is lacking not only in pharmaceutical education, but in most of, the educational processes. So we'll try to understand one by one. See, for example, definition I told you, what is law and what is ethics? Let us try to compare one by one. Law may prevent one from causing injury to another, but it cannot force him to help his neighbor in hours of need, right? But what ethics says, helping the neighbor is the function of the ethics. For example, let us understand, we are just going on a road. A person, falls down with a small accident or something. The law says, we should not do an injury, but there is no need to help the person. It is not mandatory. What does ethics says? We have to get down. We have to check, what's the problem he is facing, he or she is facing. And that is what is ethics is concerned. And ethics is concerned to the main humanitarian values, which everyone must have. That's what, the ethics is, not compulsory for everyone. But as teachers, if we don't have ethics, we cannot be called as teachers, right? So ethics is very, very important. And as for the law is concerned, something you must obey, right? The law has to be obeyed by everyone. As far as India is concerned, as far as the constitution is concerned, and a lot of laws we have to definitely obey. And whereas in ethics, how society expects you to behave. For example, there is ethics, for example, it is always understood that a teacher, right? They cannot wear very, very colorful, the shirts or, the dresses and all. And they are not supposed to wear, the cooling glasses, at least on the campus, isn't it? So everything is expected and people expect you to behave like that. That is a major issue with the teacher. Whereas law says you have to wear means you have to compulsorily wear. There is a change in that. And law deals with actions that are punishable, right? See, for example, if somebody does not obey the law, for example, we have got Psychotropic Substances Act. If any pharmacy or if any establishment doesn't follow the rule, they'll be punishable. We have already studied in pharmaceutical jurisprudence. Whereas ethics deals with what is right and wrong, right? So nobody will punish if you are unethical. But there is something called as your inner feeling, and we know what is right and what is wrong. What is right? For example, I have to take a class at 10 o'clock. I should be there before the classroom at least by 9:55. Okay, 9:58. And we can wait for the students. It is not that the student should wait for you, right? And at least we have seen some teachers, may not be in our institution, but generally when we see, some people feel that teaching is something doing, some kind of, the help to them. Upkar karna, right? It is not upkar karna. It is our responsibility. It is our duty. The students come to us, the parents send them to us, for the sake of, the development of the profession, and we have to train them in the profession. So that is what kind of the ethics we should have. So it is not mandatory as per the law. And laws are written and approved documents, isn't it? So every law, whether it is, the Medical Termination of Pregnancy Act or Pharmacy Act or whatever, they have to be approved, right? They have to be proposed, they have to be approved. If there is any conflict, it will also be, considered there. Whereas ethics is totally different. These are also written in words, but they are not carrying legal status, right? See, we have got something called as, the Professional Code of Ethics. We always study in our, the acts in pharmacy, isn't it? But do we really follow? That is a question, isn't it? And everywhere ethics are there. Professional ethics are everywhere. But unfortunately, in our system, at least I have not come across the people who are coming into teaching after M.Pharm or PharmD. I don't know whether they're getting some kind of training, like teachers training in BEd, Bachelor of Education, or in some other one. Most of the professional courses, we don't get such kind of training, which is lacking there. That's what I mentioned in my, the talk title, what is missing, right? This is missing, which has to be implemented slowly. If law is broken, a violator may be subjected to punishment, a fine or imprisonment. We know it, isn't it? But whereas ethics are broken, the professional body may subject the violator for a loss of professional privileges. For example, at the most, what they can do, they can remove the person's name from the association or maybe a trust or something. But many a times it does not happen, right? So this is something, what is missing, in our pharmaceutical education. I'll come to that part later, where exactly we are lacking. And another one, when we talk about ethics, in pharmacy, we have been studying about this code of ethics, and we have to implement it, and we take, a oath also. Definitely, all people would have taken. But I came to know from some people that even after completing 4 years of B Pharma, 2 years of M Pharma or PharmD, many people would have not taken the, the oath. That's what it is lacking, right? But nowadays, most of the institutions, right, they conduct some program, right? Like, the Freshers Day, or maybe, in the end of it, or a graduation day, people stand, they take, the oath. But many institutions, right? For example, when I was a student, in the 90s, there was no practice to take, the oath. Okay, it was not, a procedure regularly. It was not mandatory. But nowadays, most of the institutions are doing it. But still, in some institutions, it is lacking. See, for example, in medical, for example, the oath in, the medical sciences, it is compulsory for them. It is compulsory for them. They have to sign and all. So, for example, we are also doing from past 15 years, especially in the fresher day and in the end of, the course also, the student has to take the oath and they have to put their signature, in the paper which contains the oath. So it is very much required. Okay, so we have got some kind of belonging. All people have to follow. Now, students in professional education must become competent in their profession and must be able to place their skills within the context of society. Are we really teaching the skills is a question. I am not talking about, the theoretical parts and practical content, which we are definitely doing, isn't it? Let us not bother about the institutions which do not do that, right? The entire institution does not promote, the regularity of the students or regularity of the teachers. Let us not consider them now. We will talk about it later. But as a regular institution, are we really teaching them the skill apart from preparation of appointment, preparation of, the suspensions and all, whatever is there in the curriculum? Skills, are we really teaching them? Communication skills, starting from diploma in pharmacy, are we really teaching them? Or a little away from that, whether we are trained into, whether we are trained with communication skills? And I think most of the teachers know it is not mandatory. And what will happen when they come to the, the teaching, the profession? They will start making the experiments, and we do it. I am not talking about, the curriculum, presentation. I am talking about the skills. And every professional practitioner needs social understanding to do his work well. Is it taught? We study, right? Yes, social responsibility must be there. How do we behave? But is it taught? Whether we do some kind of, the mock presentation? But many places it is missing. But most of the teachers, especially thanks to our teachers fraternity, many people does it, right? If the teacher is really good, if they are really, especially if they have ethical values, right? That's why I'm saying in the title, what is missing, right? And with some teachers, it is definitely missing. A teacher does not only teach the curriculum in the classes, but he is a hero in the classroom, right? The people have to emulate that person, right? That is what is very much required. And it is a duty of all those involved in pharmacy field to ensure that the pharmacist training knows the standard of professional conduct code of ethics, right? Here there is a problem. For example, whenever a student is sent for training, B Pharma, for example, they have to go for industry, or they can go to the hospital, or in case of diploma in pharmacy, they are supposed to go to the recognized medical shops or pharmacies, or the government hospitals. But we know very well what happens. Most of them, almost 10 to 20% of them will be bogus, right? If it is a government hospital, yes, the pharmacist would have put a signature. And am I audible to everyone? Yes, sir. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for that. Yeah. But many times what will happen, especially in pharmacies, there is something called as jugaad. Jugaad kar dete hai, to they will simply put signature that they have done the training. And what will happen? This person may not become a good pharmacist, right? But people are filing that unethical way. And as teachers, then we can question as teachers what we can do. We have to encourage the student in such a way that they will go for the regular training, so that they will learn the procedure, how the dispensing is done, how the drugs are kept. Because we have something called as model pharmacy in every institution, isn't it? Every institution will be having a model medical shop in their premises only, where a student will stand there and a patient will come, or a mock patient. They will see the prescription, they will dispense it, right? Of course, the boxes will not be having the regular medicine. It is, they have been taught. But now the question is whether all institutions are doing, isn't it? So some part of ethics is being compromised over there. Pharmacy being a profession requires knowledge, skill, and integrity on the part of those engaged in it, right? Many a people, right? Especially from Karnataka, some parts of Maharashtra or Tamil Nadu, whatever state you take, especially from the metropolitan cities, many people have problems in communication. And I am not saying only communication in English, but even in our local language also, right? So there must be a presenting manner, and they must always wear an apron as a pharmacist, isn't it? So there, we have to encourage, the students to do it, and it is possible when a teacher does it, isn't it? And I have seen myself in many institutions, they don't wear apron, isn't it? Every teacher has to wear an apron whenever they enter into the classroom, whenever they're in the premises, with their State Pharmacy Council registration number and as well as their name. It gives us some kind of the ownness, and moreover, we are pharmacy people. That is what we have to follow, which is very ethical in nature. And when it comes to communication, very well, listening, right? We have to train the students in listening. Friendliness is required. If the person is having a pharmacy, it is very much required. Open-mindedness, we have to learn, including the teachers and our students. We have to be very open-minded, and of course, the feedback is also required. And confidence is very important. And when does a pharmacist get a confidence? We have to teach it, even though it is not part of the curriculum. Confidence can be developed by regular practices, wearing an apron, talking to the people, introducing them, right? They will ask, are you a doctor? They can definitely say, no, I'm not a doctor. I'm a registered pharmacist, isn't it? So this will give, a lot of confidence in the pharmacist, whether it is a teacher or a student, and even, in the society also. And non-verbal communication, the way you stand, the way you behave, right? And, the dress, what you are wearing. In many pharmacy, when I was a pharmacy inspector deputed by State Pharmacy Council, I'm talking about around 5-6 years ago. When we visited some pharmacies for the presence of pharmacists, we saw some people were dispensing the medicines by wearing Bermuda off pant. So I politely told them, don't do that, right? So we are pharmacy people and we are qualified people. Let us be, we will have some kind of the dress code. Dress sense is very much required. And how it is done? It can be done only by the teacher, right? See, at least 2 years or 4 years of our course, we have to teach them, and we cannot just assume that they will do that. So it depends how do we dress ourselves, right? And we can also implement the same thing among the students. So this is very much required, and many places it is missing. And the profession is associated with medical profession in the responsible duties of preserving the public health. Right. See, we know very well. Most of the teachers, we are definitely competent because we study the curriculum, right? We have been teaching the students, and we are into research also in our own various areas, isn't it? And when a person is very, very confident about, a particular topic, then definitely we can become competent. I'm not talking about competition, but working with, the medical fraternity. If, our student does not know how to check the BP, right? How to check, the sugar levels, and what are the normal, the values of various parameters. Then how do we start with, a doctor or maybe a nurse? Then there is a question, right? And whatever may be their intent and whatever may be the treatment, every person who is knowledgeous will be definitely respected. Absolutely, there is no problem. I think we're already experiencing. But yes, in some institutions, it is really lacking. And problem is, many teachers feel that my responsibility is only delivering the curriculum. Right? I will take class, I will take practicals, I will give the marks. That's all. Yes, we are doing, but these also have to be considered. And I believe many people are doing it. Right? There is no much issue on that. And it deals with dispensing the useful and sometimes dangerous agents to cure diseases. Yes, that's why, for example, very recently I saw one instruction from Drugs Control Department. I think it is from Maharashtra. That is what I believe. They have asked, all the pharmacies to put the CCTV cameras. Just 2 days back, I think I saw in a group. I think it is from Maharashtra, I think, right? Even till now also, many of the pharmacies does not have CCTV facility, right? It is to prevent the misuse of these kind of agents, right? So we have to follow. And why do we need a CCTV to follow it up or monitor, or why do we need some agency to come and check? So we are pharmacy people, we have studied about it, and it is ethics, for us to take care of our social health also. And PCI has formulated code of ethics for the guidance of pharmacists. Is it being followed? That is the question, right? Everyone has to follow. The authorities have done their work, but we have to follow it, right? And such code of ethics covers the rules and principles to be observed by the pharmacist while dealing with his job. We read it, but many a times we do not follow it. Yeah, and this is, this we have already studied, but let me remind, because many people would have forgotten, because it is very, very common. Okay, and pharmaceutical services, we have to provide efficient and reasonable comprehensive pharmaceutical services through medical store or pharmacy. Yes, many of the community pharmacists, almost all, they are doing it. And thanks to our pharmacy friends, right? Especially in Corona, when the entire world was facing difficulties, when people were there in the lockdown, our people came out and, they started giving, dispensing the drug, starting, helping the people. Otherwise, it would have been very difficult. If a pharmacist had thought that, right, they are exposed to the issues of Corona, and if they had stayed at home, we would have definitely had, challenges in the society. But that's why we have to appreciate and we have to thank our professional friends who have really involved. And especially, I do not know the entire country, but as far as, our place is concerned, almost 60% of pharmacists, they were COVID positive, right? Because they were working with, the people who are coming there, right? So it's a wonderful contribution. And yes, ethical base we have always followed as far as, these aspects are concerned. And pharmacy drug, yes, there should be a qualified pharmacist to have personal control in the pharmacy, which is lacking, right? The major problem is in our educational sector. We just mentioned that the person should be present, right? We teach, we understand, but many a times we don't follow the ethics. So there is something lacking, I do not know, right? But we are, as per the rules, it is there, but something is lacking. That's why in many of the, the medical shops and pharmacy, the pharmacist himself is absent. So that is what is missing. And a pharmacy should be planned in such a way that there is no accidental contamination, preparation, dispensing. Yeah, nowadays there is no problem because there is no preparation. Only dispensing is there. And this problem, many a times it does not arise, right? And this we will read. The appearance of premises should reflect the professional character of pharmacy, right? When I was working in Uttar Pradesh, right, I had seen some medical shops where it is, just like any other provisional store, right? So it was like there is a provisional store, there is a general store, and there is, pharmacy also, right? So this should not happen. See, being pharmacists, we should have, a very good appearance for our, pharmacy. It is very much required. Right. As for the prescriptions, very well. What does, our ethics says? But very well, of course, we are trained into the prescription reading. And in education, it is there in the curriculum. But many a times, students do not understand, as far as diploma is concerned, even degree also, many students do not get an opportunity to read the prescription and analyze the prescription. That's what is lacking many a times. Right. So this has to be taught by, we teachers. Then only we can prepare, a very good pharmacist for the society. And very well, same prescription will be used many a times. For example, a patient goes to a doctor, the doctor writes, for example, the person is suffering some kind of, allergies, right? Let us take an example. He has prescribed Monteclast sodium, right? Monteclast, Montecalci for levocetirizine. The person takes the same prescription again and again. So it is not ethics, isn't it? We have to ask the doctor or the patient, the doctor should write whether it is short term or long term. He should very clearly mention it is for 3 months, it is for 6 months. So what will happen? The patient will be aware that, he should not take the drugs again and again. So that is very, very critical and important. And a pharmacist should not follow any expression on his face. Yes, right? People do that. And some people, whether do or not, it is our ethics which has to come to the rescue. And omission or substitution of ingredients should not be done without the consent of prescriber. Yes, nobody does it because nowadays almost all the pharmacies are controlled by the doctors in one or the other way, right? In case of any error in the prescription, we have to talk to them. Yes, we are definitely following, the ethics. And yes, in consultation with, the doctor, we have to do that, a physician. And while dispensing, the drug should be properly weighed. The question does not arise because all are, in a dosage formulation, and we don't weigh anything nowadays. And pharmacists should always use the drugs in the medical preparation standard quality. It is also does not arise because they already been tested properly and ready for dispensing. All are ready made, right? And drugs likely to cause addiction or abuse. This is something most of the the people follow it, right? And yes, in education, this point has to be highlighted more. Because I tell you, the student read it and forget it, right? But at least during the practical training, it should be taught. But many places it is just like a ritual, right? They'll just come to the the training place. They will get the training. If at all there is a training, otherwise it is just a passing on the time. And while imparting practical training, the in-charge pharmacist should see that trainees acquire sufficient technical skill. This is very, very critical, right? Skills is not properly defined, right? Our educational system says, yes, this person has to undergo a 3 months training in a recognized hospital or maybe a pharmacy, or in case of B Pharm, it can be a research institution, or it can be an industry, which has got CNC1 products, or without that also, or in a pharmacy. But what skill has to be imparted, it is a bit silent on that, and many times it is not being properly followed. So this is one of the challenge, and this is going to be a complication in future. If you are giving the unskilled pharmacists there, what will happen? Definitely society will stop neglecting us, and there will be an issue as far as the entire nation's health is concerned. It will be at stake. And yes, no certificate should be granted. Yes, we are not doing it until a student brings a certificate of attendance certificate. We don't do that. Okay. And fair trade practices. No attempt should be made to capture the business of a fellow pharmacist, cutthroat competition. It is only on the paper, but you know very well what happens outside, right? See, most of the pharmacies are just like any other shop, right? Say they are giving lot of discounts. There are so many things. We have DPCO, Drugs Price Control Order, but many people do not follow. Okay, and when it comes to the online pharmacies nowadays, right, which is not being taught in our curriculum. Last time when the Pharmacy Council of India was planning to do some kind of the syllabus revision, we requested, but somehow there is some kind of gap there, right? So in future, whether you like or not, it is going to be online, right? A lot of efforts are being done through various associations to stop it, but it is not happening. Most probably we will be able to impress upon the Pharmacy Council of India and as far as the health department to do that, but practically it is going on, right? There is a lot of cutthroat businesses going on, right? See, for example, prizes and gifts given by the pharmaceutical industries, right? Everyone knows about it, which should not happen in the for the sake of healthy society, right? And we should not copy the trademarks, symbols, and all. First of all, many pharmacies do not have their own symbols, right? If you observe in the other countries like Western or maybe in Gulf countries, most of the pharmacies have the trademarks, they have their labels, they have their symbols, right? They are very proud of it. But in India, in most of some reputed pharmacies they have, but other do not have it. So which can be definitely implemented. Okay, and hacking of the drugs, right? Should not be done, but people are doing. Any attempt should not be made to collect orders from door to door, but we are doing. But we collect as services, right? Because how to beat the the competition through online, it is being done. And self-serving method, it is not in India, right? It is abroad, which is very dangerous. Yes, we are ethical in this case. Advertising and displaying, it should not be done, but many people are doing it, right? Myself, I have seen in most of especially in metropolitan cities, even there are some signboards on the way, right? This pharmacy, that pharmacy. It should not be done. It is not ethical. But in the competition, it happens. And pharmacy should not make advertisement. They are mentioned here: misleading, exaggerated statement. The cure should not be mentioned, right? Of course, an offer to refund the money paid. Many people are not doing it. That is okay. But as far as the giving some kind of discounts and as well as gifts, it is still there. And more than anything, what is missing? Missing. Pharmacist himself is missing. That's a real problem in most of the pharmacies. And in education, yes, it is again a issue, right? See, I'm talking about the pharmacy education, isn't it? The ethics in pharmacy education. And somehow, what I feel, if a student, our own student, is following this, I think somehow teachers are responsible. That is, as a teacher, I feel. And we cannot be responsible for all the students. But why don't we tell them? Why don't we make them realize? Do we really do that? We should tell them. We should brief them. So that's what we should try to do that, so that some ethical transfer can be done to the student community also. Okay. And now let comes to the pharmacy educator, isn't it? As teachers, and let us try to understand. See, the ethics should be there for everyone, right? There may be a question: why only for students? Why only for teachers? Why not for the employees also? See, ethics should be everywhere in the working atmosphere. Otherwise, ethics is only in a oral point. It will not become any practical point. So, what's the ethics for an employer? To provide a safe work environment for staff and employees, right? And yeah, most of the institutions do that, but some they do not do, right? and to treat the employees with dignity and respect. I am very sorry. We have failed in this issue, right? Except some reputed institutions where they follow ethics. Many institutions have, not doing it, right? I'm talking about the employees, right? I know it will be a little controversy, but I don't mind, as a teacher to share with my own friends here, especially during Corona. Many of the institutions does not even paid salary, right? There were hundreds of letters to the Pharmacy Council of India, various agencies, but even now also, we know that most of the institutions are not paying salary. Even now, also 50%, 70% they are paying. This is highly unethical, right? So if same thing continues, naturally we will produce unethical products only to provide a fair wage for the services rendered, which we do not know many a times, isn't it? Especially because it will become controversy if we talk about private institutions, but many people do not do that, right? Employees, employers are really have to think about it, and to handle all business transactions with integrity and honesty. This is something which is, highly expected, right? If the employers are also ethical, they expect something ethical, the fraternity also become ethical, and definitely we can give some kind of ethical products outside for the society. Otherwise, everything is hand in hand, which is really missing. And work ethics for an employee, yes, the employees are good. They're taking a very good care. They are giving a very good respect, right? They are giving a very good remuneration. So it is our responsibility to show up on time. In the beginning, I told you, right? If a teacher has to take a class, if the class is at 10 o'clock, they should be here by 9:45, right? Coming to the college at 10, then going to the classroom and all. No, it is not ethical at all, isn't it? So we are not supposed to make, any kind of compromise on our quality time and, the quality of teaching. Otherwise, same thing will be followed by the students, because they'll be observing, they are like mirrors to us. Whatever we, see in them, they see in us. To tend to company business the whole time while to work, right? This is very much required. To treat the company resources, equipments, and products with care, it is very much required. And to give respect to the company by working with honesty and integrity, because when we expect some honesty and integrity from our employee, we also have to be reciprocative. Otherwise, what is the use of it? Okay. And this, I think I have already mentioned in other slides, right? And there is something called professional vigilance, which we definitely have to follow. Law abiding, it is very much required, because it is not only ethical, it is as per the rule also. But our rules does not precisely mention about the food, drug, pharmacy, health, sanitation. Okay, after pharmacy, it has developed a lot, but otherwise it was no an issue earlier, right? And relationship with professional organizations. Okay, a person has qualified, he is a pharmacist, he has registered. They should continue to have an association with some good professional organizations, right? Then only they will get some kind of, the new ideas of new developments, what is happening in the profession, right? And they'll be having some say in the profession also, which will be good for, the overall health of the society. And decorum and property, right? See, our decorum we have to maintain, right? If there is no decorum, right, then profession will not survive at all. Ethics is very, very important. In the decorum is also very crucial. And pharmacist work we mentioned, definitely yes. Now, professional ethics, as far as the teacher is concerned, we have to behave in professional manner, which we are doing it regularly, right? I think most of the teachers does it, because our fraternity, we are already aware of it. Even though there is a lacuna in our educational system, there is a lacuna in our management system and everything. But as far as teachers are concerned, everyone, right? They always follow the professional manner. There may be some stray incidences which can be always corrected. And personal life. The major problem in our country is we always mix it up. Okay, in our professional, in a personal time, we mix up, our professional thing. In a professional, the time we mix up, our personal issues. And that's what, the ethics says. We have to keep it independent. Okay, and respect for resources. We have to respect every resource. Then only we can respect our profession and, definitely, our society also. And guidelines for professional ethics are very much required, which is not found, in our, at least, your pharmacy educational system. It is not completely documented properly. It is not being properly shared also. And a professional manner, we know it very well, we have been following, but only for the sake of sharing it. On time is very, very important. For a teacher, coming on time. You may be a little late for the college, but for the class, we have to be there on time, right? There is no compromise at all, right? But this is missing, right? So that ethics part is missing somewhere. Polite. Are we polite to everyone, right? We are polite to our hierarchy. But when we talk to our students, we should be polite to them also, isn't it? I am not telling them to, address them as sir or madam, but politeness is very much important. Humbleness is also very much required. Respectful and dependable, isn't it? See, our students has to be dependent on us, right? And of course, we are dependent on them also. But they should feel that yes, this is the person whom we have to emulate and follow, and he's a model to us. And personal life, as already mentioned, right? See, separate work life from private life. The major problem with us, we always think that our professional life is very important than personal life. We always keep on talking. Now, most of our teachers, for example, everyone, right? Administrators, you leave them, right? But as a teacher, we always keep on talking about the college students in the college. But when we come to the college, we mix it up there. We should not do that, and avoid discussing personal problems as far as possible. You should not discuss anywhere, right? Maybe to where you know it very well. There is no end for it, and there is no what I can say response for it. And keep personal telephone calls to a minimum, right? Many times we see people, they'll be here, getting so many phone calls. No, this is not ethical, right? So for some time, if it is urgent, we can definitely receive, but always receiving your personal calls during, the official time, it is not ethics at all. And human relationship, right? Soft skills and transferable skills. Here, this is one of, the biggest problem as far as ethics is concerned, and, the training is concerned. See, number one is treating the people fairly, isn't it? We know it, and many times we do that as teachers. But sometimes, because of the stress, because of some kind of problems, sometimes, we become over exaggerated. That should be controlled. And establishing rapport, developing a rapport is very much important with the students. And I think, most of the teachers do that. It did not be mentioned in the curriculum, isn't it? It is out of the curriculum. It is something, ethics, which we have to build in, inside in ourselves. Other one is being cooperative team member, right? The major problem with our teaching fraternity is, taking people together. That is always, an issue. I am not saying that, people are, anti to each other, but we have to be a part of a very good team. Then only we can build an institution, we can build our profession, and in turn we can build our country also, as far as, a good health is concerned. And dealing effectively with conflict. Whenever there is a conflict, sometimes what will happen? Mujhe kya hai? Mujhe kya karna hai usme? There's a problem with them. So, but it's a social responsibility. We have to address that issue. And this is ethics also. An example I already gave. Helping clarify misunderstandings. This is very much important, right? For small things, we should never get, misunderstanding. It can happen in a team, but we should have some kind of ethical values, through which we can always, nullify, the misunderstanding. And creating an environment for social interaction. Yes, there should be a very good, atmosphere for that. And work ethic qualities, responsibility. I did not tell you all are responsible, isn't it? So we are responsible to the society. We are responsible, for our health, right? Our state, our country, everything. And flexibility. Yes, we have to be a little flexible, right? And discipline does not say that we can be impolite to people, right? On the name of discipline, we cannot hurt others. It is not our duty, and does not get misunderstood. It is not carried away, right? We should not carry away anything to our personal life. Otherwise, it will affect our ethical system. Honesty is something which is the very biggest challenge. But I'm very sure if you compare with any other people, honesty is always with the teachers, right? That has to be followed. Reliability, teamwork, and commitment excellence, right? If you are ethical, definitely the commitment will lead to excellence, isn't it? So, for example, some of your students get ranked, most of our students get replaced, right? Then they come and tell you that, yes, sir, because of you, I could do something. This is a wonderful thing for a teacher. We don't get anything from them, isn't it? See, most of our teachers are here, you know it very well. And, other one is code of ethics. Employee treatment, isn't it? How the employee treat us and how the employers treat the employee, very important. Wages, benefits, and working conditions, right? Very unfortunate that when we go for some inspection, we see that, leave, the male staff. The female staff will not be having a proper toilet. When an institution is generating so much of income, when the management is having so much of, the facility, why don't they give some small kind of facility, isn't it? So it need not be mentioned in rules and regulation. It is there in the rules and regulation, right? But many people just, ignore it. Where is the ethics here? So ethics is very much important. It is not only for the teachers or students, it is for the employees also, employers also, and behavior of employees. It is, reciprocative. So we have to be very, very good in behavior, especially in the society. When we talk about the institution, when we talk about the profession, isn't it? We should not keep on nagging about other things, isn't it? We should always put our profession first and remaining things later. And workplace ethics serves as a guiding principle that effective leaders use to set as a behavior. Who is a leader? The leader should feel, for his fraternity. He should feel for the profession, right? It's not that, right? For example, our institution is not paying 100% salary during, Corona. You also don't pay that, isn't it? So some kind of these things happen. It should never happen. This is killing our own people. It is killing the own ethics and not following it, right? So this is something which has to be very, very carefully addressed, and we should demand it also. It is our right also. And challenges in the end, right? What is missing? Attendance of teachers, right? And very well, when we talk about the ethics in pharmacy education, right? One ethical way is appointing of the teachers, isn't it? Some teachers will not be there at all, but they'll be showing some bogus teachers, right? And they do not pay proper salary. It happens in most of the places, but fortunately, as far as Maharashtra is concerned, what I heard is really doing wonders, right? That is what my inputs what I have received, right? Like if the institutions are old and reputed, they won't do that. But nowadays, all people want to follow some kind of shortcuts, right? And especially as far as diploma colleges are concerned, and we just came to know that there are many institutions started by few principals where there is no teacher, there are no students, right? There is no building at all. So that is why we have to be very, very careful. And this ethics in pharmaceutical education is really, really important. And attendance of students. I told you, in some institutions, we came to know the students do not go to the college at all, right? They are given attendance, they are given sessional marks. I don't know how they are doing it, but this is very, very unethical. This has to be curbed. If it is not curbed, what will happen? It will spoil the entire system. It will spoil, the health of the country. And ghost research, we know very well, plagiarism. I think the earlier speaker spoke about it. This is highly unethical, isn't it? And who is forcing you to do the research? Isn't it? If you are really keen to do the research, if you want to do something for the country and society, then you can take it up, right? So this is not, advisable, which is highly unethical. Teachers running the other colleges, I told you, industrial training, right? See, some students, just bring a letter that, they have done the industrial training. When you check it, they would have not done it, isn't it? So as institutions and as teachers, we should not promote it and we should not encourage. Finishing school. Yes, there is a mention of finishing school in our syllabus, but many institutions do not follow it, right? They will just send them to their own laboratory, right? Then they'll just complete it. I am not saying that, during Corona it was possible, because now, Corona is little gone, isn't it? So the finishing school is meant for the students to learn. They have to emulate themselves so that they will become an excellent pharmacist, for the country. And skills, yes. Communication skills, highly lacking. Soft skills, yes, some institutions are really doing it, but majority institutions, they are not much bothered about the soft skill. And when I talk about the diploma and as well as B.Pharm, very well, a major chunk of our students go to the community pharmacy, isn't it? But are we training them in accountancy? Are we training them in Tally or software used for pharmacy? Okay, we have a small syllabus accountancy, and many places it is taught by a teacher who do not know accountancy himself or herself. It happens, isn't it? We don't call the commerce teachers and tell them to teach it. Okay, so why don't we call some people? They can tell the simple thing, not only for the entire year, maybe 1 or 2 months, right? How to maintain a ledger, how to prepare the income and expenditure, how to balance it, and Tally. Introduction to Tally can be given. Of course, it is not possible to train them in the entire Tally, right? So definitely it can be possible. Okay, and softwares. See, for example, those days are gone. Earlier, people were writing, the receipt, but now it is almost, it has become obsolete. Now softwares are available. We can train the students, or at least we can introduce the softwares to the students. So whenever students go out of, the institution, maybe after diploma or B.Pharma, they have some kind of information regarding the accountancy parts and software parts, so they can do very well, right? So this is something ethics need not be mentioned in the in the rules and regulations or the curriculum. This is highly missing. So this is what I wanted to share with my good friends over here. I think I have not taken much of your time. If I have taken a few minutes, sorry for that. And I'm able to share it. And I'm not saying anything new to you, because all our teachers like me. I'm just trying to share something which was a little lacking. Thank you so much. Yeah, before I wind up, I think one slide I missed, right? The questions to keep in mind, right? One is it fair what we are doing as teachers? Does it uphold the values of the organization? Can I tell my decisions to the employer, my family and others, that I have to question myself? And how would others regard the details, if made in public? Something cannot be made in public, which is should be kept with us, that we have to question. And second part is, am I confident in my decision? We have to retrospect ourselves. Will it be valid for years? Right? Whatever I'm doing, is it valid? Is it legal? And more than anything, we should not hesitate. If it is something good for our profession, right? See, because we have seen many leaders talking, big things on the platforms, but themselves do not do that, right? Either they'll be running, an institution which is not existing, and attendance is not at all there. I'm not talking about that, and let us not follow such people. Okay, let us be more open and let us be more ethical. Will it hurt anyone? That we have to think. Does it positively represent the company? That also we have to question our mind. Does it make anyone uncomfortable? But sometimes, we have to take, a decision, even though the person doesn't like it. Does it convey respect to others? Have I involved others by asking their viewpoint? So all these questions we have to keep it in mind, which is concerned with ethics. And I'm very sure, definitely India will succeed because, it is in our culture. We are not unethical people, Even though we are having some compromises, we never don't want to do anything unethical. Some people are forced to do that, right? Because of, the employers, because of the system, because of the atmosphere or our neighboring institution. And my request to everyone is, let us not get carried away, right? Let us, continue our culture. Let us continue our dedication and try to follow the ethics as far as possible. Even though it is not 100%, let us start one by one. Then only we will be able to do something. We will become good teachers also. Otherwise, just teaching in the classroom and practical, anybody can do that, right? Even a BCom person or a BSc person, if you are giving, some kind of PowerPoint presentations, anybody can deliver. That is not the quality of a teacher. But yes, this has to be implemented in our educational system. So I request everyone to kindly consider it. Maybe some seniors would have also joined in this FDP. Not for them because they were already doing it in their life, but my other friends, let us try to do, and let us build a wonderful country, India, which is a guru for most of the institutions. Thank you so much for the kind hearing. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Good afternoon, all. On behalf of the Indira College of Pharmacy, I would like to thank you, our speaker, Dr. Hanumantachar Joshi, who spared time from his busy schedule to grace the session. Sir, you have an excellent coverage to the ethics in pharma education. What is missing? Today, we had an opportunity to hear your thoughts. Thank you, sir, for your very informative session. Now, on behalf of Team ICP, I would like to felicitate Dr. Hanumantachar Joshi.
Sir, it was a really wonderful session. Thanks a lot for highlighting all the issues, and in one of the most, I would say, in a balanced manner, because these are all tricky aspects of our profession. And the way you have put it is really a very nice one, because it's a fantastic balance we have to maintain. And you have done a great job, sir. Thank you so much. We were actually looking for this only, that the objective should be fulfilled, and you have done a great help by fulfilling that. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Dayanand.
Thank you so much, sir, for this excellent session.
Thank you.
And
Anagam.
yes, you covered practically every point in what we come across and what our students also should know. And we are the people who will translate this to students. And yes, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Anagam. Thank you.
So with your permission, I would like to move on the question answer session.
Yeah, please, Doctor, please. Are there any questions?
No.
Sir, actually, I have one question.
Yeah.
Now, most of the times what happens is that the teachers are completely involved in multitasking. And at times, due to they fail in the balancing act, and some area is then not properly given justice to. So how to manage this? Because this is a big challenge.
No,
it is not out of purpose, though it is not out of purpose, but it happens.
Oh, no. See, Dr. Dayanand, yourself, you are a senior person, you know it, you know the answer also, but you want some answer from me. But we have to balance it, isn't it? So this is not one day's issue. It will be there throughout our life also. But for example, as I mentioned earlier, because every teacher is teaching. Because if you remember, there is a saying, a good teacher teaches, an average teacher explains, and a poor teacher complains, isn't it? And that is done by every teacher, because if the teachers were not good, India would have not developed like this. That we have to understand. And if we had failed in our teaching, our students would have not given their best, during our Corona period, isn't it? There were many volunteers, they were, working really excellently. But my concern was about the ethics, right?
Yes.
It is not only, the educational system or educators, hand in hand with, the employers also,
Right.
isn't it? When our teacher is trusted, right? When the teacher is not being, properly, taken care of, everything is hand in hand. So this is something which has to be balanced by everyone, including the teacher also.
Thank you, sir. Thanks for that.
Hello, sir.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, sir, it was very nice and informative talk. I have a small question. Actually, you answered this question also during your presentation, but still, what happens sometimes when we want to follow the ethics, when we want to go as per the rules and regulation, but we need to hurt some people or people will get hurt because of it. So to balance this thing I personally find this thing little difficult. So if you could tell something about it.
Yeah, sure, sir. See, for example, in the beginning, I told you, let us not worried about hurting. See, for example, we are not hurting them, in our personal manner, isn't it? So this is in a professional way. For example, let us compromise. For example, there is a building. For example, if 2 or 3 meters are, falling down, it is fine. But when it comes to the character, when it comes to the ethics, a teacher cannot, compromise the entire ethics. Okay. See, for example, you are telling that, if you are following ethical way, will become, what I can say, some kind of, the scapegoat. Sir, how many days it will happen? Isn't it? कितने दिन हम लोगों को मतलब compromise करते जाएंगे?
Correct.
है कि नहीं? And I know very well, in some institutions, it is very, very difficult. Sir, it will not go for a long way. It will not go for a very, very longer way, right? Even though it is not, sorry. See, for example, simple example I will tell you, because all teachers are there. And I do not know, I don't have any hesitation at all to talk about it, right? For example, take an example of Corona, right? See, some teachers work for 70% salary. Some people work for 50% salary. Some were not at all paid salary, right? See, what happened, because of there were ethical issues were there, isn't it? So you tell me when it is going to end. Okay, now the Corona is gone, isn't it? But even now, I have heard that people are not paying salaries. One example. Then what will happen? There will be some kind of tension in the mind of the teacher, and they will start following whatever the management says, right? See, we should be united and we should tell them, right? For example, there are I don't know about other states in Karnataka, there are many institutions. I'm openly telling there are many institutions where can we close the YouTube if possible?
And better to stop recording also.
Thank you.
No,
Thank you, sir.
recording is okay, no problem. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah, I can close the YouTube.
Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible, Dr. Ashwini.
Sir, actually, thank you very much for such a nice session regarding ethics and the teacher responsibility.
Yeah.
Sir, I wanted to know that, like, as you know, like, even in universities now, there is a NAC, there is NIRF, there are so many things for which we have to dedicate our time. And even for a single inspection, it takes near about 3 to 4 days for the preparation.
Yeah.
Apart from it, I'm from Madhya Pradesh. I'm a teacher in a government university, though it's not a regular job, it's some type of contractual job. Sir, I wanted to know that even these odd conditions, whatever and howsoever they come, there is a sequential dilution in the concentration of the knowledge, which, like, the knowledge I acquire from my teacher was totally different than what students are getting today. And like, I'm not sure but about your state, but I'm pretty much sure that in Madhya Pradesh very soon the core of the pharmacy knowledge will definitely vanish if the people will not think in that direction. What is your opinion about it, sir?
No, you have analyzed it very well, and you said very diplomatically. It's the same with most of the states also. There may be a small deviation from state to state. Yes, unfortunately, it has happened in the field of education, not only now, from many years, right? But my question is, how long? कितने दिन ये चलता जाएगा? at least, people, let us follow the ethics as well as possible, right? Because very well there are so many leaders, they have their own colleges, right, which is run, without teachers also. Let us not talk about it. But we are working in a system, we are working in an institution. At least that place we will try to make it ethical.